Alrighty, fifth graders. So today we are going to practice using commas. And this is an important skill because as we continue to develop our writing, we need to be able to understand what commas are and the placement of commas to recognize that uh, a comma is used to show a soft break. So it is a form of punctuation and it separates two or more ideas, but the ideas alone are not complete sentences. So that's the big difference between a comma and a period. So your target today is I can use commas proficiently by identifying and placing them where they go in my writing. Alrighty, so with commas, number one rule is to use it to combine two strong clauses that join with a coordinating conjunction. So in these examples, we have school is still in session for another 9 weeks, comma, so you better try to learn all you can. Or I have to get ready to go to work, comma, so I can go with you to the mall. So just notice where I'm placing the commas in between the two coordinating conjunctions. And the conjunction word here is so, right? So in between the words so. A second use of commas is to separate three or more items in a series, like a list. So we are going water skiing, swimming, and snorkeling. So there's a comma between water skiing and swimming, and then snorkeling and swimming. At the park, we played soccer, went down the slide, and flew a kite. So there's a comma after soccer, a comma after the slide, right? So we also use commas to set off introductory phrases. So, for example, here's our introductory phrase here. To raise enough money for the cause, comma, or to prepare for school, comma. So we have commas between both spaces, and then we continue to say, Mary sold off all of her personal belongings, or we had to buy school supplies. Okay, so using them to set off those introductory clauses. Another way that we use commas is to set off or separate between words that interrupt the flow of a thought, right? So Justin, who lives down the street from me, is going to the moon also. So Justin, who lives down the street from me, is going to the moon also. Excuse me, sorry. So, or the car, comma, that I used to have is down the street. So in both of these situations, the comma is in between the two clauses because it doesn't keep the flow of the sentence, right? A fifth way we would use sentence commas is by separating two or more adjectives that modify the same noun. So like for example, it says right here, she is in love with the interesting, dangerous. So both of these are adjectives, but we're separating them with a comma. So she was in love with the interesting, dangerous act of beekeeping. Or I played with the small, round, bouncy ball. So I have a comma to separate those two adjectives. But yet I'm still describing the bouncy ball here, right? So number 6 is I would definitely use commas to separate those two clauses if a dependent marker is used. So in this case, it's kind of like a cause effect, right? So if you want to get good grades, comma, you need to go to do your homework. Or if I show my face in class, comma, I can get participation points. Okay? So those are two ways. This is another way that we would use commas and two examples of separating the two clauses. I would also use commas to set off those direct quotes. So think about our Esperanza Rising and even in our character reaction paragraph that we've been doing, you would use the quotes afterwards, like Kevin said, blah, blah, blah. Or on page 67, it said, blah, blah, blah. So the comma comes after the word said in both cases. We also use commas to set off transition words. So first, blah, blah, blah. Finally, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so first we could eat tacos for lunch every day. Or finally, I can say I learned how to sew. A ninth way we can use commas is setting off the years and full dates, titles and names and regions. So in this case, we have a date, a name, and a title. So January 2nd, 1996, comma, Bill Clinton, comma, President of the USA, comma, paid a visit to Chicago, Illinois. So we have quite a lot of few commas here. Or on October 31st, 1991, Shelby, my sister, was born at 6:50 in the morning. Okay. So in both of these sentences, we use commas to separate full dates, titles, which is like the president or my sister, and regions. So like Chicago, Illinois is a region. Okay. And then finally, we use commas to set off names and direct addresses. So indirect address. So like, would you please be quiet, Lupe? Or can I go with you, please? I should say, can I go with you, please? So the direct address here is you, and the direct address here is Lupe. So let's take a look now at some ways that some misuses of commas, a common misuse. So the first common misuse is students might separate the subject and the predicate. So getting to school, comma, can be difficult. That is not accurate. We do not use commas that way. We do not put commas in the middle of a complete sentence. We also don't separate a verb and its object. So it says Timothy is reading, comma, the newspaper. So we're not separating the two. Again, we're keeping that complete sentence, right? And then a third misuse that students do is putting a comma in a compound subject or predicate. So Tim, comma, and Steve went to the store, comma, and ate hot dogs. So we do not need to put a comma in the compound subject because it's just two. So Tim and Steve went to the store and ate hot dogs. So we won't have a comma at all in that. Alrighty, guys, so we practiced using commas, and we have practiced identifying places where we would use commas appropriately. Our next step from here is to complete the assignment where you're going to identify where the commas go, and then you're going to turn it in. Good luck and have fun using those commas, guys. So now we know how to use commas. And remember, if there's a place or a space where you're like, I need support or I'm not sure, you could always go back and rewatch the video to get a better understanding.